Alright, I'm here to record my second video ever to continue on with the Destiny channel I promised I would be making. And I'm still trying to figure out how exactly you do a YouTube intro. I feel like Paul Tassi doesn't really roll off the tongue like Rick Kakis or something, so I don't know. It's a work in progress. We'll see how it goes. I just wanted to say thank you to all you guys for the support on the first video and my kind of channel announcement. I think I have like 7,000 subscribers already, which is both awesome and kind of terrifying because that means I need to start consistently making videos and hopefully make them not terrible. So we'll see how that goes. I've heard feedback that my audio is not amazing. I'm gonna try and get a new mic, and that's the one I want is back ordered until like August or something because of the apocalypse and everyone ordering good mics, I guess. Until then, I might try and fiddle around with some of the audio levels and stuff, and I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But the reason I'm here today is because I wanted to talk about Destiny 2 Season of Arrivals, which we are now exactly a week into. I'm filming this just a couple hours after reset, and I was able to do the new reset content, which there's not like a huge number of changes, but you know, some things shifted around. I wanted to get kind of a sense of what's going on there. So I figured I'd just kind of run down my thoughts on the first week here. I've written a few articles about this already, so if you want the really, really long form version of what I'm going to say here, you can probably find that on my Forbes site. But if you want a summarized video version, that's what I'm doing this for. So we should probably start with just kind of the overall tone, I guess, of the season, which is this literal giant army of pyramids arriving, which is scary and very cool because a lot of people didn't think that these pyramids would ever arrive until Destiny 3. But now that we know that Destiny 3 is not really going to be a thing, they're here now, and they're going to be the major focus of Beyond Light, the fall expansion. And the way that it's manifested itself right now is that there's a giant pyramid just sitting over the Traveler landing spot on Io, and naturally the first thing the pyramids do when they get here is create a public event for us to do, so that's very cool. Thank you for that. We started with an actual story quest, and what we're getting is kind of a repeated story quest every week where we go into the cradle and we have to clear out a bunch of Taken because Savathun is there trying to like intercept messages from the darkness that she doesn't want us to see or something like that. And like Nokris is there. I don't, it's a little confusing. However, like once you get through it and start reading the lore about like what messages the darkness is actually sending, it's pretty cool. It has a lot of big story implications for like kind of the whole future of the series, like this whole light versus dark thing, but it looks to be a little more nuanced than that, where like coming this fall we're going to be able to wield both darkness and light powers, and the message this week from the darkness is essentially the Traveler is kind of babying you and you need to like break out of his grasp and like experience kind of the full power of the universe because he's containing you with the light, and that's just too limiting. The missions themselves are good. They're kind of like little mini solo strikes. The Cradle mission changed a bit this week. There's like the first part's the same, but the second part, there's like a new encounter to it where you fight another Shrieker, but it's not formatted the same. It's not in the exact same areas. There's some bridges and some boot blights that want to shoot you off the edge. It's not terribly difficult, but it's changing, so that's something, and we don't really know how many variants this has. In the Triumphs, I think there's at least 3, but there could be more than that. I'd be surprised if it was literally different every single week, but you'd think they have to repeat eventually. So that's how you get a pinnacle drop every week, like right away. And the main kind of repeatable event of the season is this Contact public event, which, yes, I know, grown public event, and I also do not like the fact that it's a public event. However, it is about 10,000 times better than the Seraph Towers were. The Seraph Towers, do I really need to go through why the Seraph Towers were just excruciatingly bad? just to summarize, if you had only a couple people there, you would fail, and if you had like one guy go on a plate one too many times, you would fail. Like it was very unforgiving, very unfun, a lot of ball throwing. It wasn't great, and then we had to do it about 80 million times for the community quest, and it is one thing that, despite FOMO, I am glad was removed from the game. This one, the contact event, is actually very cool. It's essentially PvE Gambit, where you kill, right now on IO, we're killing Cabal and Vex, and this week it moved from one part of IO to the part of IO by Ashen Mirror and the Pyramidion, so now it's kind of in that little entranceway to the Pyramidion, so it's a lot more claustrophobic, and it kind of changes the dynamic of the event quite a bit. There's a new heroic boss, which is now an ogre that does not have immunity phases, so he is very fast to kill with the guillotine swords, or any sword really. And that's a good source of Umbral engrams. And it's a good event. It's chaotic, it's fun. It is very hard to fail. Like once people are starting to get to like 1020, 1030, 1040 power, like it is genuinely difficult to fail. And since it's concentrated only in one spot and one spot only, any given week, I have not really had a problem with instancing. Like even if you start it when there's maybe like 2 people there, almost always I'm seeing like 3-4 more people show up and kind of doing it immediately. So either they change something with instancing where they have a trigger where as soon as you're starting it, they're loading a bunch more people in, or people are just like genuinely interested to do it, unlike Seraph Towers. That's also possible. But I think it's a good event. It's this and kind of the whole season are focused around this Umbral system where, as I'm filming this now, the Forge AFK Umbral farming thing got fixed last night, and regular Umbrals will no longer randomly drop powerful engrams. So it's been toned down a little bit, but the overall point of the Umbral system is to allow us to get kind of seasonal drops from whatever we're doing, and there's good and bad things about this. The good thing is that the way to focusing things into pretty much one of 2 different drops for the weapons, or like focusing it into specific stat roll and armor, like that's good, and that's a lot of choice that we haven't really had before, especially with like kind of wild world drops. So it's cool to see that. While I appreciate the idea of trying to give out Umbrals in every activity, the balancing is not right. Like, for lack of a better way to say it, like the Forge thing was just kind of, there's always problems with AFK forging, but now the issue is like a lot of the activities do not have a very balanced rate of drops for both Umbrals and the Altered Element, the currency to focus stuff. So the best way to get Umbrals now is to just literally run 2-minute Nightmare Hunts on repeat, because those almost guarantee either Altered Element or an Umbral, which is very strange considering strikes and gambit matches and crucible matches, which are a lot longer, do not guarantee that, and the drop rate is very low there. The heroic event pretty much guarantees an Umbral engram, but you will rarely, if ever, get Altered Element from that. So the best, besides the bounties, the daily bounties, the best Altered Element farm is Nightmare Hunts, which is, it's very weird. I just think they need to buff the other activities and increase their rates a little more. One good thing about the Umbral system is that so far the loot that's come from these, the seasonal loot, is very good. I'm really enjoying pretty much all the new weapons, the new perks like Killing Wind and what's the bow one? Oh, Sympathetic Arsenal, where like every bow kill reloads all of your weapons. Like that's extremely cool, and I've really enjoyed using that so far. Pretty much, there's 6 weapons, and I think all of them except maybe the fusion rifle are like really good. Overflow Rampage on the auto rifle is kind of insane, so you can get up to like 76 in the magazine and just have an eternally rampaging thing going on. The pulse rifle is a high impact frame, which just got buffed, so in Crucible there's a lot of different good rolls for that. I'll have to consult MTash or someone to tell me what the exact best roll is for that for PvP, but I've gotten a lot of those already, and even things like Headseeker now in high impact seems kind of viable. And then there's the swords, which are hilariously good. One of them is essentially the Bolt Caster, and then one of them is essentially the Dark Drinker from Destiny 1. But they're legendaries, and swords are stronger than they've ever been. So you can get Vorpal on Temptation's Hook, so that's great for boss killing. And then Falling Guillotine has this spin attack that is just truly insane amounts of damage, so you can just roll right over any boss. In the Contact Public event, for instance, you can just, with the new Lucent Blade mod from the Charge with Light mod, you can just trigger that. It's like a 35% sword damage buff. Do one spin move and instant kill any champion. Just no matter what it's doing, like you can just kill them. So that's pretty cool. It seems like something that Bungie might be taking a look at. Not to get into nerfs in my first Destiny video here, because that's too stereotypical, but I could see the swords kind of maybe being adjusted depending on how things go. Like it's not going to be like optimal raid DPS, because how many raid bosses can you really use swords on? Like not that many, but I don't know. We'll see how it is. And then finally, probably the biggest thing of this season is that we got a new dungeon, which has never happened in a season before. Those are only saved for fall expansions. And I just finished Prophecy Dungeon this week. I won't go into spoilers here because I know some people are still understandably powering up because it's recommended 1040, and I do recommend you beat 1040. That's what I was when I beat it. I started it at like 1020, 1025, and then I got to this spinny box room. You'll know what I'm talking about if you've done it. And I was just getting roasted. So my friends and I took some time. We leveled a bit, and then we came back and beat it at 1040. I think my buddy was like 1035, but we 5-phased the final boss. It is a really trippy, really cool dungeon. Maybe my favorite overall. I don't know. It's so beautiful, and it is a really, really big loot pool for a few reasons. Like Bungie threw in some old weapons in there as the drops, which they have the Aquilos weapons, which is cool, but also very weird because we just had a whole Rasputin season, and that doesn't really go with the whole Trials or the whole 9 theme. But I am not complaining about the Feeding Frenzy trench barrel shotgun I just got, so whatever. And then there's an SMG that's like the Recluse model that people are going to say is like going to replace the Recluse, even though the rolls I've seen are not amazing. So I don't know where people are getting that. And then I think there's 2 full armor sets. I think you can get the old Trials of the 9 armor, and then you can get the Eververse sets that they pulled out of Eververse specifically for this dungeon, which is the Dido sets, which again is kind of weird because they definitely look like Eververse ornament sets, except now you have to farm full sets of them, and you can't use them as ornaments. It's just actual armor drops. But one change they made to the dungeon is you can just, whatever drops you get in a given week, those are locked in, and then you can run the dungeons as many times as you want to get different rolls on what has dropped for you already. So like this week I could get, I think, the Aquilos hand cannon and shotgun, the SMG, and then the helmets. I think that's all I got. So I could farm rolls for that. Well, no, it just reset. So now it's a new set, and I'll have to see what I get this week. But that's what I could have farmed last week because I beat it Monday night, and which is very cool. And that seems like to me that they're teasing probably doing that for raids at some point. I don't see a reason they wouldn't do it for raids. Raids have always needed to be farmable ever since they introduced random rolls, and it is kind of nonsense that they're not. Powerful drops, I understand them not, putting in raids and stuff, but this is a good system, and it should be in raids too. So I highly recommend you play the dungeon. I know some people are kind of salty about the dungeon being dropped right now, and no one's really high enough power to get it, but leveling should not take that long. So like I think in a couple weeks, like most people will be able to attempt it. The dungeon is going away at the end of this season, but it's not your traditional FOMO thing. Like Bungie has promised that they're going to bring it back as soon as they can, and this seems to be some sort of technical thing that has to do with like all the massive amounts of content they're removing in the fall. So it will be back. It will be farmable. I assume when it comes back that the timer will reset on the sunset gear in there, and then once it starts dropping, then it'll be viable for a year after season 13 or whatever it is. So Overall, my impressions of this season are starting off pretty strong. The dungeon alone is more content than we get in most seasons, so that's very cool. The public event is not ideal because it's a public event, and yet it is pretty fun. I just can't say that I'm not having fun with it. The Umbral Farm is good. It's an interesting system that I think needs to be iterated on, and 2-minute nightmare runs and AFK Forbes farming should not really be a thing, but we'll see how it goes as the season goes on, and I've already gotten a lot of great drops, great loot, so I'm excited. Yeah, so that's kind of my first impressions of the week here. I don't know when, like, the roadmap is pretty bare, but we know there's at least 2 exotics hiding somewhere. One's a full quest, one might be a secret. I don't know what's going to happen, and then we have like stuff like Solstice of Heroes and Moments of Triumph down the line, so we'll see what happens then, but for now I'll at least be playing every week to do, to power up and hit max, but also like see the new story stuff that's happening with Eris, and I think next week the Pyramid's probably going to move to a different planet, probably Titan, so we can do the event there, so that'll be interesting, but it's a cool season, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else we have in store. Yeah, so thanks for watching this video. That was 16 minutes in one take. Alright, well, if that's too long, let me know. If you want me to go full data and talk for 43 minutes about things, I can do that too, I guess, depending on the topic, but again, apologies if there's any audio or lighting issues that I'm still kind of working through, but I'm doing my best, and do I have to say like, follow, and subscribe after every video and hit the bell, or like, will people get it? I don't know, maybe I'll just put up a card or something, but anyways, thanks for watching. I truly appreciate you guys supporting me in YouTube, which this has been way more support than I ever thought I would get, like, this quickly. Like, I was amazed when I got 1,000, and now I'm at 7,000. Like, it's very heartwarming to see that people are here to support me instantly and watch my stuff. So thank you again, and I'm gonna try and be pretty regular with these. We'll see how long it takes to film and edit and stuff, but I have subscribers now. I got to put out content, so welcome to that grind. So thanks again, and I will see you next time.